Hello, my name is Sierra McLeod, and welcome to the Philadelphia Business Leaders video series. I'm here with my guest, Eddie Bruce, a music icon. How are you doing, Eddie?
I'm great. Nice to see you, Sierra.
It's nice to meet you, too. So, Eddie, can you start off telling us exactly how everything began?
Well, it began as a kid who knew he liked to sing. And we grew up in Northeast Philly, and I loved music, and I became a singer. And I used to watch the Mike Douglas show, which was done in Philadelphia, a national talk show. And I fell in love with show business and music, especially jazz and the Great American Songbook, which when I was 11 was kind of against what all my friends were listening to, which was
Yes.
English rock and roll.
Right.
So I was lonely. I was so lonely. But that's what I loved, and so I pursued it, and I just started to sing everywhere that I could. I was lucky as a kid to know what I wanted to do. A lot of kids today I don't think know exactly what they love and what they want to do.
Absolutely.
And it makes sense that you wouldn't until you're older, but I do. So I just pursued what I loved.
Right. And you became one of the leading entertainment companies in the region. Can you explain a little bit of that, elaborate for us?
Well, that's a long road. I mean, I went to Temple. I grew up singing everywhere I could. I was on the Al Albert Showcase, a local talent show on Channel 6. And I sang everywhere and anywhere that I could. It's one thing that's important, that if you love to do something, I would say never say no to an opportunity. Just get up and do it. And I sang everywhere that they would let me. After Temple, I went on the road with the band. I traveled the country. I played in lounges and hotels and clubs, and then ultimately came back to Philadelphia and started to sing with a friend of mine who had a band that was doing weddings, which at the time was the worst part of the music business you could do. Weddings were like the lowest rung of the ladder.
Oh, yeah.
And I thought, let me do this until I can get back on the road. You know, I had a sense that that was the real music business. And weddings was just something you did on the weekends. And a lot of the bands were just pickup bands where the guys did other things all week and then they played it on the weekends. And ultimately, I saw an opportunity there to maybe raise the level of that industry and create something more for the wedding and party industry musically. So that was my goal. And then before long, I got a job as the host of a local TV dance show, Dancing on Air.
Right.
That gave me a huge jump in name recognition. So people were booking the band, and the notoriety and the name recognition all gelled to where I had a pretty popular band. Then I formed a company called the Entertainment Group, which was out of Jenkintown with a few partners, and we had about 12 bands, and we were booking tons of parties. And ultimately that became a couple of other companies, and did my career.
So I would also like to ask you exactly what you are currently involved in, you and your company.
Well, after starting a couple of companies that were large entertainment entities, where we had multiple bands and did event planning and did many services, I decided to simplify my life. And I always found that though they were successful, but they took my eye off the ball musically.
Okay.
What I really love to do is be on stage. And so I have simplified things to where Eddie Bruce Music, which is my current company, is simply exists to book my band, the Eddie Bruce Orchestra, which can be from 6 to 15 pieces, and to manage my cabaret concert career, because in addition to the parties, I perform at clubs and cabarets, and I performed with the Philly Pops and with the Ocean City Pops and symphonies.
Right.
And I do nightclubs, where I do more of a concert thing. So my company now exists pretty much just to manage my own personal performance career. Mm-hmm. I book other bands when I need to, and when I have a client that wants something that I'm not available for, and I help find them something, I'll consult. And but pretty much now life is simple because I just want to perform.
Okay, so you feel like you have transformed in some way. You have transitioned from the constant being booked and everything like that, but more so, like you said, more of a simple.
Well, it's simpler in that I'm the product. I don't have 10 bands to book.
Okay.
I don't have 12 mouths to feed as far as other bands.
Right.
I don't have to run a company like that. No, I mean, I've simplified life because I think that I've earned that, and life exists for more than work. and I have a granddaughter now and a tremendous family and kids and that are grown, and a personal life. So I like, instead of, I mean, in the high days of the Eddie Bruce Orchestra, I was doing 160 parties a year.
Wow.
I mean, there would be weekends where I would go do a Friday night, a Saturday afternoon, a Saturday night wedding, a Sunday wedding. When my kids grew up, they didn't think that existed from Friday to Monday, you know, and so
Right.
So now I like to do maybe one event a week, and that works very well. But it also gives me the opportunity to travel.
Okay.
I mean, we just did a wedding in West Palm Beach with a whole 13-piece orchestra where they flew us all
Very
down.
nice.
I did a couple of cabaret performances in March in Florida as well, at two private home parties. So there's something to be said for keeping the calendar a little bit more open for last-minute opportunities. And so now I mix the weddings and parties and galas with the dance orchestra with cabaret performances. I'll be at Chris's Jazz Cafe, for example, in town here. I'll be at the Raz Room, which is a great new cabaret in Philly. So I can pick and choose what I do.
I have researched a lot about you, and I've seen how extensive your resume is. And you've come a long way, 40 years in this industry. I think that is amazing. Yes, I think that is quite
I started
amazing.
when I was 4.
Wow.
Yeah.
And how did you know so early that this was something that you were going to do? You said that as a young kid, you already knew that, you know.
I mean, I didn't know that I would do it my whole life when I was a kid. You know, you don't think in those terms when you're 11.
Right.
You do what you love. And what I loved was those days, again, my friends were listening to the Beatles and the Stones, and I was listening to Sinatra and Ella. And I pursued the music I love. I listened to it. And so I think in general, it's a cliche maybe now to a point, but if you pursue what you love, the money comes, the success comes. You just have to love what you do. And
Absolutely.
And while I don't love everything about the music business, you have to remember that show business, music business, there's a business aspect to it.
Right.
It's not glamorous, it's not glitz and glitter. I mean, it is to a degree, it's fun.
Right.
But if you don't master the business part of it and understand what your clients want and understand how to take care of them and how to return phone calls, and for me, talk to brides and probe their minds. What kind of a wedding are they looking for? What's their relationship with their dad, with their mom? What music would complement that? Like digging deep
Right.
and managing the business aspect of things, then you don't have a career. So in the beginning, you pursue what you love, but ultimately you have to understand it's a business. And I know we're
Absolutely.
talking to business people now. So, I mean, that's a crucial part of it. A lot of people who are artistic forget that there's a business side to this.
Absolutely. So what would you say are some of your major obstacles, things that you've endured during this whole spill and still to this day?
Well, they change over the years. The obstacles that I had when I was a young band leader was getting known, was getting proved that I'm the new kid on the block, but I can do this. The obstacles in the early years were creating a place where at a big wedding, at a beautiful hotel, or synagogue, or country club, or wherever. When I started, the band was we didn't have a lot of respect from, let's say, the caterer or the other vendors. They would tell us when to play and when not to play. Those were obstacles.
Right.
And I saw that early on, that once that party starts, if I'm not in charge of the timing and the flow of that party, it won't be as good a party. And so that's one of the ways we changed the industry. And now we have the finest caterers and hotels in town. When I work there, they call me and say, what time would you like us to serve the courses? What is your timeline? Because they've learned that we have our finger on the pulse of the party. So that was a big change in the industry and a big obstacle to get the music, which is the actual pulse of the event, to be the one steering the ship. I guess obstacles today for me, after you're in this business a long time, it's the opposite of, let's say, a doctor or a lawyer who is well known, and as they age, they get wiser. In my business, you just get older. So you have to keep making the case that you're relevant. So
Yes.
Brides who are 25 today or 30, who's maybe I played their bat mitzvah when they were 13, or their mother's wedding. This happens now. So their first initial thought might be, he must be so old now, or I've heard his name forever.
Yes.
Can the band still be relevant?
Yes.
And so I have to constantly prove that I'm relevant and that we're contemporary and that because we stay right on the new music. I mean, the band I have now is smoking hot. I have great young singers with me. I have great mix of experience and young talent, and I have to prove myself, even at this stage, that Mom might recommend to the bride, hey, let's go Eddie Bruce, and the bride goes, really? Aren't there newer bands? But, there are a lot of great new bands. What they don't have is an understanding of the art of band leading and running an event. Exactly. And the details that go into it that I do. So we have to constantly make that point. I'm as good as my last party, even after 40 years in the business.
So what would you say are some of your highlights, being in this industry? Because as I watch some of your videos, you look very, very engaged in what you were doing, and I could tell just from your aura that you enjoyed exactly what you were doing.
You can't do something this long if you don't love it. I mean, there was a point maybe 20 plus years ago that I was getting a little burned out, and that's when I decided to do cabaret and concert work, to add that. Because at a wedding, I'm there to play what the bride, groom, and the crowd want me to play. It's not about fulfilling myself musically. If you do that, you're gonna fail. It's what do they want to hear? What do they want you to what music works for this party? Half the stuff I play at a wedding I wouldn't listen to in the car, but I have to play it because it's what works. So in order to avoid that burnout, I started doing cabaret and small concert and intimate shows where it was all about what I wanted to play. I didn't care if I made a dime. Well, that ultimately, again, following the love, that led to some of those highlights you're talking about. I mean, I sang with the Philly Pops at the Kimmel Center in front of a 65-piece symphony orchestra with the 90-voice choir behind me in my hometown. I sang, and then I headlined with the Ocean City Pops a couple of times with a 30-piece orchestra. And so, I mean, those were dreams to me that I never thought I would see happen, but they didn't happen in my most successful years as a band leader. They happened later in life because I pursued what I loved. As far as highlights for the wedding or the party band, I have to say this, and it's not BS. At the end of a party, when I have 300 people or 200 people screaming for more, around the bride and groom, and everybody's happy or crying and with joy, and I've fulfilled that bride's dream, I'm juiced to this day after thousands of them. And if I didn't have that feeling, I would have to stop doing this. So, I mean, I played all the great galas, the Academy Ball. I played with the Bacon Brothers and Kevin Bacon a couple of years ago, and I've done all the great. I played the world premiere of the Kimmel Center opening with the band. I did a wedding at the Academy of Music for 500 people where they brought the stage of the Academy all the way out to the back of the theater and built a new stage to make a ballroom out of it. Mm-hmm. I've seen everything. But it's the human connection that ultimately is what gets me, which is when a bride looks at me at the end of the night and says, that was it, that's what I wanted, you did it, thank you. Yeah. Forget it, I'm jello.
Yeah, you're constantly creating memories with these women and all the other events that you've covered. Would you say that weddings are your favorite, or do you have?
Yeah, they are. Galas are lovely. They're wonderful. You want to do a great job, maybe help people raise funds for a cause. And the cabaret shows are very fulfilling and exciting. But listen, people come up to me and say, "You played my wedding 25 years ago, and we still look at the album, we still watch the video, and when I see you, I'm back on the dance floor in my happiest moments." You can't put a dollar amount on that. And now I have legacy bookings. I've played for families where I did the bat mitzvah, then the mother, that wedding, and then her kid's bat mitzvah, and then her wedding.
Right.
And to be relevant in multi-generationally like that, and still playing the best parties, that's a gift. I mean, there's very few people who started when I did who are doing that. So I just played a wedding, the one in West Palm Beach where they flew us down, where I played that bride's bat mitzvah. I played at least 12 parties for her family. And they wouldn't do a wedding without us, even if it meant the expense of bringing us down there. I have deep gratitude for that kind of loyalty. Loyalty in business comes when you pursue excellence, you care about your client, you love what you do, and you have a little bit of luck thrown in.
Absolutely. So what would you say, since you have, done this for so long, how would you say that there's been some, technological advancements through the years? How would you say those things have helped you?
Amazing, the changes. For years I schlepped my own sound system, and I'd plug in the speakers, 2 speakers and a mic. It's like, the comparison to today's technology, it's like doing it with 2 Dixie cups and a string, because today I have a sound crew that has all of our stuff pre-programmed digitally into our boards, so that with a push of a button, all our settings are saved. Everybody on stage wears in-ear monitors, so that we mix our own monitor mix on iPads virtually. We are able to recreate top 40 music by doing custom digital sequencing, so that we can do a bed of the music and play live to it, so we sound exactly like the record, which some people might say is cheating, but it's the only way to do it right. And the acts we're covering do the same thing on their own concerts. So it's not karaoke in the sense that we're just standing up there playing a tape. We just take what we can't recreate live and we digitally sequence it, and then we play live against it and sing live with it. So the sound is, if we do a Pitbull song or some Rihanna, something really contemporary, something new, we sound just like the recording. So it's been a lot. And as far as the marketing goes, of course, social media is huge, and we have to use that.
All right. So, how have you worked being able to do this for so long? How have you juggled having a family, being able to do this? Because I know this industry can be very time consuming and a lot of work. So how has that affected your family?
The heck with the family. I just No, I'm kidding. It is a balance that any businessman has to have. One of the upsides for me is that while I was going on the weekends, I was able to be home more during the week with my kids. Now my kids are all grown, and now that I have this smaller sort of existence corporately, I'm able to spend a lot of time with my 6.5-year-old granddaughter and come and go as I please, and I'm my own boss. But no, my kids didn't have a weekend dad for those years, and it's always tough. It's always a balance that a tightrope you have to walk between success in business and family time and your personal life and all of that. So thankfully they're all good today, and everybody's happy, and I'm able to spend some more time with them.
Okay, so also I would like to ask you, could you elaborate on the business side? Because I know you were saying that it's not just about the art, the music and things like that. It's also about how the business side of it plays into it, because we have a lot of people that don't realize how important the business is.
Well, the wedding business has become absolutely huge. It used to be, as I said, where musicians went to die. It was sort of like a terrible gig.
Yes.
It was pickup band. And now I can tell you that musicians clamor for wedding work. And I like to think we had some role in raising the level of professionalism. When I came into it, bands didn't rehearse. You met and you played songs, at the wedding. Even the best of the bands. Now you have to be tight. You have to rehearse. You have to have great sound. You have to have choreography. You have to have a look. You have to... So business-wise, when you're the product, we are the product. I'm not selling, widgets. I'm selling me. I'm selling the band. So my first order of business is keep the product tight, fresh, current, polished, all that. Marketing end of it, I have to make sure that every caterer, hotel, florist, event planner, photographer, all the vendors involved in the wedding industry know who I am, stay in touch with me. No matter how long I've been in it, I can't assume that I'm on their mind. So I have to check in with them, I have to talk to them, I have to go to the hotels, I have to say hello, I have to ask for their business. I have to keep a really strong presence on social media. I have to blog, I have to be on Facebook, I have to be on Twitter, on Instagram, and they have to see that we're out there and that we're doing what we do. I have to. One of the things I pride myself on is that when brides call me, they call me. They'll deal with me on my cell from call one to the wedding day. No salespeople. No. Now I can do that because I'm one person now. I'm a small company. I understand the big band companies, one of which I started, can't do that. And that's why I suggest brides call me and not them, because if you want that one-on-one kind of personal interaction, I'm able to do that now. It's part of what I love about this phase of my career. So all of that comes together to create the wedding business, the music business.
So also, I would like to know, how is it, working with different types of people? Like, I researched your different singers and bandmates and things like that, and I want to know, like, what is it like when you're up there performing with these different voices and sounds and things like that? How does it feel?
Well, with the crew I have now, it feels amazing. I have the best band I've ever had and the best crew of people I've ever had. It's tricky in my business because nobody aspires to be a wedding singer. Very few people, young singers who want a career, say, you know what I want to do? I want to sing at weddings my whole life. So the best talent tends to either be on their way to something or on their way from something. So I have to find talent that is if they're on their way to something, I have to understand I'm only going to have them for a while. If they're on their way from something, I have to know they're going to be a little bit older maybe, but they've had their career and they're ready to settle down and put down roots and stop traveling. Charlene Holloway, who you might have seen in my videos, is with me 20 years. She's amazing. Philadelphia singer, gospel singer, talent. She was with Anita Baker and Regina Bell and Patti LaBelle and Lou Rawls as a backup singer and traveled. And when I got her, she was done. She didn't want to do that anymore. So I've had her for 20 years now because she wants to be here. Some of the younger singers, I know I won't keep them. I have a young guitar player now who's so smoking hot talented that I worry, when's he going to say, I got a big gig in New York, I have to go. So that I have to balance. I like the band to have a balance of experience and youth. And guys that can read music, who have been in theater orchestras, who studied. And I want youthful energy, obviously. They also have to have a work ethic. They have to understand that you can't be late at somebody's wedding. You can't, The thing about a wedding versus a concert or a club is that if a concert date comes and I get laryngitis, or I get the flu, or I have a problem, I can reschedule it. You can't do that with your wedding.
No.
Imagine if I did that to you.
Right.
You can't get them next week. The audience wasn't good, we'll get them tomorrow. I don't have tomorrow.
Exactly.
I have that night. And they have to, I understand that. I have to have people with me that understand that. And so I'm constantly, it's almost like running a basketball team or coaching a baseball team, keeping everybody up, knowing when somebody's tired, because we don't take breaks. We're hardly ever off the stage. In the last 2 hours of most weddings, we don't stop. My poor drummer plays every note. This poor guy is, working. But I look back and I have a guy, Jimmy Coleman, who's got a smile on his face a mile wide because he gets a juice out of the success of that party. So they have to be bought in and committed to the end game, which is making them have a good time. I'm bought in because it's my career and I'm making more money than they are. How do I get them to buy in besides paying them well? They have to see my example and they have to see what my commitment is. And so right now we have a great mix of people who, I just came back from Florida with them and we traveled really well together and we had fun. So it's nice. I can't say that's always been the case through the years.
Yeah. And you've done TV, you've done radio, live performances, countless different acts. And I would like to say, what do you see in the future for the Eddie Band Orchestra?
The Eddie Bruce Orchestra. The Eddie Band Orchestra, that'd be a good name. So start one of those.
Yeah, the Eddie Bruce
Band
Orchestra.
Well, I still love it. I'm going to keep going. I'd like to continue to do fine parties. I like small intimate parties too, where we'll go out with a small band. I just booked something for someone who is a very prominent local person who's turning 95, and we're going to do her 95th birthday.
Oh, wow.
At the Union League. Now that's pretty cool. I'm going to have a ball doing that because I hear she's a pip. And so there may be 80 people, but we'll have a ball finding that sweet spot of what's going to make her happy and with her family celebrating this incredible thing. So I want to keep doing those. I want to continue to do the cabaret shows and the concert work. I'll be at resorts this summer headlining, in my, I do a tribute to Tony Bennett, who's turning 90 this August. So I'll be doing my show with him. I have a CD out called Bruce on Bennett. And there's one more thing I'd like to do that I haven't done, and that is I'm going to write an original one-man show that's not a concert per se, but is more of the story of what I've been doing all these years. That's really truthful and maybe a little bit edgy, because there's been rocks along the way too. So you have to tell that story as well.
Right. And I've also seen that you've done things in LA. And how is it different from the East Coast? Because I know that that's a whole different spectrum.
Well, for me, the main thing in LA was nobody knew who the heck I was, and the size of the audience reflected that.
Okay.
Nobody came out, but I had to go do it. I had an opportunity to go play a club in LA, and we took the trio out, and we had a blast. Lost money on it, but I didn't care. It's even tough going to New York. I mean, I've played some of the great clubs in New York, 54 Below and Feinstein's and the Metropolitan Room, but I have to work so hard to get an audience because I'm known here, I'm not known there.
Right.
So I do that because it's fun and because you sort of want to. You can make it there, you can make it anywhere, right? They say.
Absolutely.
I'd rather be in my house. Philly is my hometown, my town. I love Philadelphia. I'm proud of Philadelphia and what we've accomplished. The city is so smoking hot right now as far as youth and energy and restaurants and clubs and music and young people moving back. This city is where it's at. I wouldn't trade this for New York for anything. And plus my Phillies and Eagles are here, so
Yes.
I'm fine here. So I can work at Chris's, or I can work the Raz Room, I can work in Atlantic City, and I can do my weddings at all the fine hotels we have here now, and I'm fine with that.
Right. And would you say there's a place that possibly you haven't visited yet that you would like to perform at, or even a different country other than the United States?
Yeah, I thought about that. I know that Europe loves American jazz. I wouldn't mind going, doing some a European tour of some kind, doing some jazz venues there. I like clubs. I really like small theaters. Like the room I'll work in resorts is 300 seats. It's the screening room theater, and it's so intimate and so warm, and so people listen. They're right there with you. That's what I love. So there are lots of theaters like that I would love to do. No particular place I'd like to play, I guess. I would like to play London. I haven't done that, but because they have a great cabaret scene there. But again, Eddie who? They don't know me. So it's hard to raise an audience. It's kind of hard to do, and I recognize that. So I'm just happy playing here at the Bellevue or the Franklin or the Logan or all my local hotels and making people happy here. It's fine.
Do you feel like there's any techniques that you could include that will make it even better for more people to know who you are?
You mean marketing-wise?
Marketing-wise, yes.
It's marketing. It never ends. And in the wedding business, your clientele's moving past you. And what I mean by that is that the bride you play for Saturday, unless her marriage doesn't work out and she gets married again and wants you, you're not playing for her again. You're playing for the next bride. So there's a constantly changing market that's moving past you, and you have to let every one of them know who you are. So that never ends. I don't know, I have to constantly look for new ways to market and new ways to get the message out. The most powerful tool I have and have had from the beginning was one party after another. The 200 people at that party will go home and tell their friends, oh my God, this band was so hot, our feet hurt, they were amazing. Yeah. And they'll tell somebody, and then their cousin's getting married, and they'll say, you know what, I just heard about a band that killed last Saturday night, and then I'll get that call. So it's word of mouth in this business is the most important thing. and you can help word of mouth along with good social media.
Yeah, and that was actually going to be my next question. Like, how does social media affect this type of business and you in general?
It's just like it affects every business now. You have to be there. I have somebody that helps me do that, because I don't love the management of that. But yeah, I mean, you have to put on there, we're in Palm Beach doing this great wedding, and mention people's names, and then they'll share it on their page, and they'll see it, and I liked it better when it was just like word of mouth.
Yeah.
It's a necessary evil.
Yeah,
you have to do it.
Social media has been, wonderful, in a lot of businesses. But yeah, I can very much tell you that I knew that was definitely a great effect. Like it transitioned everything.
Sure.
But my final thought for you and question for you is exactly what is something that you want our business people that's listening, our viewers, what do you want, is something that you want them to end knowing, like something that is very important about this business that they cannot forget?
Well, there's so many things I could say there. I guess to sum it up, I mean, I've mentioned it, but love what you do. Diversify enough so that you don't burn out, so that you don't get tired of what you do. Find a new mountain to climb within the business that you're in. Look for new things that will juice you, that will inspire you. Always focus on what it is that you're doing this for. And if the answer is the money, then look for something else to do. Because the money is absolutely crucial, but it can't be all. Yeah, I mean, you have to love what you do. And then the people that, when you find yourself sort of just, going to work, or this is a drag, then you have to find a new angle.
Absolutely.
Yeah, or it won't work. So, yeah, I guess that's it.
Well, I would like to thank you so much for coming and talking with us today. I have been very much informed myself and
Good.
very much impressed as well. So thank you so much for coming.
Thank you. Thanks for the opportunity, and it's fun.
Thank you so much for joining us with the Philadelphia Business Leaders video series. Thanks again, Eddie, for everything that you've explained to us in our interview today.
My pleasure, Sierra. Thank you. You did a great job. You have a big future.
Thank you very much.